Start the webinar. Steve Jobs said, people use PowerPoint because they don't prepare sufficiently to deliver their content. And of course, Steve Jobs was a great speaker and he used his PowerPoint or keynote as it would have been very sparingly. I want to give you some tips today to make sure that next time you use PowerPoint, or whether it's Keynote or whether it's Prezi or some other audiovisual computer production aid, I want you to be more effective and more confident. One of the things that Microsoft found was that every day, every 24 hours, around the planet, there's 30 million PowerPoint presentations, of which 29 million fail to have the impact that the speaker or the trainer wanted to have. So I guess currently what Microsoft found is about 1 in 30 PowerPoint presentations hit the mark, and the other 29% fall short and probably fall into that category of death by PowerPoint. So good morning, Peter Dew's my name, and I'm a public speaking trainer and coach. My passion, helping you find your voice so you can effectively, confidently, and persuasively make the changes around the world that you want with your conversations. In terms of participation, ask questions, type in the dialogue box, take notes, participate, make comments, and more importantly, think about your next PowerPoint presentation you're going to deliver. Think about a previous PowerPoint presentation you've delivered, or think about a PowerPoint presentation that maybe you've attended recently. What one or two things can you learn, take away, use from this webinar? So the agenda: why use PowerPoint? The common mistakes, the concept of eliminating noise, reducing noise in PowerPoints, a fairly cool tool called SmartArt. Many of you may already be using that. So how to get some photos and images, and just another little concept around using flip charts, so graphics, images, and how to use flip charts with your PowerPoint. Let's get started. Why use PowerPoint? It's an audio-visual aid. It's as simple as that. This research out of Stanford University shows if I talk to you, so I'm going to take away the pictures, I'm going to take away the video camera and just talk to you, podcasting, about 10% retention rate. I give you your pictures back, I give you some images, I do some drawings, you look at PowerPoint, you've tripled that retention rate to 30%. Storytelling, engaging, that's a different webinar, and I do a webinar on storytelling, increases your rate to 65, 75%. So the real reason we do PowerPoint is it's an audio visual aid, and a lot of people out there are visual learners and they need that visual component. And even the whole brain learners need visual as well as auditory as well as kinesthetic. That's why we use PowerPoint. Simple as that. Common mistakes in PowerPoint. The first one is reading off your slides word by word. Your PowerPoint is not your teleprompter. You are not the ABC newsreader where you must read off the slide word for word. It's very disrespectful to read off the slide. The slide is for your audience. It is not for you. It is not your reminder. It is not your teleprompter. Use the slides to add to what you're saying. Using bullet points is another mistake. You will see today in my slides, I'm not going to use bullet points. Bullet points is shooting your audience to death, one bullet at a time. Bullet points are old school. They've gone, it's now more about images, graphs, photos, models, a few words, quotations. But don't just do bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. That's really quite boring. Welcome, Tracy. We just got underway. Common mistakes in PowerPoint. Reading off your slides, using it as your teleprompter, having your slides just show bullet points. Too much noise, so we'll talk about noise in a moment, but too much noise, this is around distractions from what your PowerPoint slide is trying to say. So one of the things is strip down your slides, make them pop, and I'll talk about the concept of popping later on, and eliminate the noise. Too many slides. They say about one slide every 3 to 5 minutes, and some people have 50 slides and they've got a 1 hour presentation, just too many slides. Leaving the slides up. So what I mean is keeping the slide up on the screen and now we have a conversation about something else. So let's say someone's asked me a question, Peter, you spoke about storytelling and storytelling increases retention rate by 70–75%. Can you see how what you're looking at now bears no resemblance to storytelling? And I'm having a discussion with you about storytelling and how that increases retention rate to 70–75%. I also mentioned this is another webinar that I do quite often, the power of the business story. But the visual is completely not aligned with what I'm saying. And that's a mistake, leaving your slides up. So I'm going to teach you how to bring your slide down mid-presentation. What happens when the slide comes down? People's eyes move on to you. They look at you. And now you have that discussion. Creating shadow puppets. So you have the data projector on the desk, people walk in front of it, or even one's in the roof and they walk in front and you see their hands move and you see all the shadows and they obscure part of the slide. So that's a common mistake, distracting. I really avoid making the shadow puppets, and what some people do as a result of that, they stand off to the side of the room. Therefore, they don't stand in the middle, because if they stand in the middle, they will create shadow puppets. So once again, I'm going to teach you how to bring the slides down. People will look at you and you can now stand in the middle of the room without creating shadow puppets. So they're common mistakes. So let's talk about eliminate the noise. What is noise on a PowerPoint slide? And I will demonstrate. It's having your web page on every slide, www.peterdew.com.au. It's having the page number on every slide, having lots and lots of different colors, almost the rainbow of colors. Too much background. Photographs you don't need, fancy fade-ins. These are those transitions where you get the curtain blinds and all of a sudden the point arrives in a puff of smoke. The actual sounds, this is the ka-chings, the cash registers, the boing, boing, all of that is literally and metaphorically noise that stops people gaining the immediate purpose of your slide. So please eliminate the noise. Let me demonstrate some good slides and some bad slides. First of all, you don't need my photo there. I'd get rid of my photo. Secondly, you don't need my corporate logo there. I'd get rid of my corporate logo. And oh my gosh, we've got 75 slides and I'm only up to page 7. You don't need that there. Get rid of that. My website, I've shown you that on my opening slide and I'll show you that on my closing slide. You do not need that. My phone number, you do not need that on every slide. This is what I call noise. And of course, the other thing we get is bullet points. So don't shoot your audience to death with bullet points. This is death by PowerPoint, one bullet at a time. And let's throw in a bit of noise. You've still got my logo. You've still got my page number. Crikey, we've still got a long way to go. Don't worry, I don't have 75 slides. My website, just in case you don't know it already, and my phone number yet again. And let's do some really noisy stuff. Ah, beautiful. Would you like to see that again? That is noise. That is noise. It's clever, and I know PowerPoint can do it. It doesn't add to your audio visual. It doesn't add to your visual aid. Let's do another one. Once again, websites there, page numbers there, my logo's there, not necessarily all noise. My phone number's there, and we're going to do the round and round and roundabout. This is noise. This is distracting noise. So please, this is what I mean by eliminate the noise. Now, you may know that in PowerPoint, there's a really good tool called SmartArt. So if you use SmartArt, you can take those bullet points that I've shown you before, bullet point 1, bullet point 2, 3, 4, let's stick with 5 bullet points, and this would be your traditional way of doing them. You can still record the 5 things you want to talk about, or the 5 points, but what you can do now is with that SmartArt, you can convert it to a whole different range of models, of graphs, of charts. So let me show you some SmartArt tools. Let me show you the use of SmartArt. Let me just erase the drawings. All right. So I've taken my 5 bullet points and I've put them into an arrow. This is good when it's kind of sequential, point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5, and this is where we get to our outcome. However, I would suggest to you that my logo, my website, my page numbers, my phone number is still noise. So let's strip down that slide and make it less noisy. That is a cleaner slide. And so the first step to financial freedom is, the second step to financial freedom is, the third step to financial freedom is, the fourth step is, the fifth step is. If you follow those 5 steps, you can guarantee it retiring and enjoying a retirement income that you deserve. All right, let's go through those 5 steps one by one. That's an example of SmartArt. And I've chosen that one because that's kind of sequential. Let's do the same thing again with a different SmartArt. Now I've got the pyramid. And once again, the corporate logo, the page number, the website, the mobile phone, and noise. So let's get rid of the noise. That's a cleaner slide. Now, I would use this format when it's kind of a building block. So stage 1, and you can reverse these points. So you could have point 1 down the bottom, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5. And often the foundations or the building block is point 1. You can't move on until you've done point 1. So this is less sequential and more kind of building blocks. So the 5 steps to being a confident public speaker is, the first thing is you've got to know your content. You've got to know your content inside out. You've got to be a content expert. You've got to be able to deal with questions. You've got to be able to read between the lines. This is content. Second thing, you need to be able to control nerves, look confident, deal with anxiety, deal with fear. So that's point 2. Third point, you've got to have a really good structure, beginning, middle, and end, so forth. Point 4, you've got to tell stories. Point 5, you've got to engage the audience and respond to the audience's energy and needs, whatever that may be. So that's an example of SmartArt. There's 2 examples of SmartArt for you. That is hierarchical there, and that's, I guess, the pyramid there. It's just that tool in your PowerPoint. As you're designing your PowerPoint slides, put down the 5 things you want to talk about. Go to SmartArt and pick the graph, the model, the hierarchical framework that works for you. So let me talk about wheat crop yields in Western Australia from the year 2000 to 2006. So there's my slide. Once again, I've got my website, my page number, my corporate logo, a little bit noisy with the corporate logo. Picture of wheat, just in case you don't know what wheat looks like. And there we go. There's a really nice, pretty slide. Beautiful colors. This slide is very noisy and it does not pop. Remember, I spoke about make your slides pop. It is an visual aid to help you illustrate what you're talking about. What happened in 2003? Can you see that slide, you have no option but to say, wow, what happened in 2003? And of course, it's the drought of 2003. Same data, same information, lots of pretty colors, lots of noise, logos, a photo of wheat. Just in case you don't know what wheat looks like. Oh, dear me, I'm still only at page 15 of 75. I'm going to pause for a moment. Do you all understand what I mean by different noise and the importance of keeping your slides clean so that when you show it, people see immediately what you're talking about? I'm just going to pause for a moment. Any questions, any comments? All right, thanks. Thanks, Steve. Steve's asked about, and this question comes up all the time, Steve, it's about corporate branding. You have a template for your organization, and you must use that template when you do your PowerPoint presentations. And that template will have a logo and your website on every page. And I think that's a bit of a problem and a bit of an issue. And I've tried to work with some of the marketing and branding people within particular organizations and let them know that the branding needs to be on the first slide and the last slide. If you work for the Health Department of Western Australia and you say that in your introduction and your first slide has Health Department of WA logo, Government of West Australia, phone number, website, the room now knows that you work for the Health Department of WA and you're representing health in Western Australia. But sometimes they still want that information on every slide. I guess that's a tough gig, and you've got to weigh up the value of your PowerPoint presentation. And if people are not getting your information clearly, then you really need to, I guess, question the effectiveness of the PowerPoint slides and whether you should be using some other models. However, please don't anybody lose their job or disobey corporate directives not to put your corporate logo on every slide and your branding. Branding can be colors and consistent colors, I understand that. And I guess this slide, my background, we don't. Yes, we do. So there's my corporate logo. This branding is consistent with my corporate logo. So even though I've put a slide that pops, I've still got consistent branding without my logo. So Steve, that's a tough one, but thanks for your question. Are there any other questions around making your slides pop? Eliminating the noise. All right, let's move on. Graphics and images. As well as using SmartArt, the other thing that grabs people's attention are good visuals that help illustrate what you're talking about. And they come from different areas. You can use Microsoft Office clip art. It's royalty free and it has got better. It has got better. Those cartoon characters and those stick drawings from a long time ago are not as good. I don't think you should use those, but some of the modern Microsoft Office clip art is quite good. Do you understand you can't just Google an image and use it? You may be breaching copyright, especially if you're using it for commercial reason, for commercial purposes. So you can go to iStock Photos and you can buy royalty-free images, and they can cost anywhere between $1 to $2, or depending on resolution. And that photo, that image is then yours to use over and over again without having to pay any royalties, without breaching any copyright. Another one is depositphotos.com. There's a place called unsplash.com, which has also free royalty ones. Take your own photos, use your own photos. More and more people are using their own photos. Or you can design them on PowerPoint, Microsoft Paint, or other software. There's one guy who draws his own PowerPoint slides using the Microsoft Surface tablet, and he's got a pen, and he brings in his template and he draws them. But he's a cartoonist as well, so his images are quite good. If I tried to draw cartoons, they would be very bad images. So some examples of images that I sometimes use. This is one I've created, and this is about controlling nerves, and it's about replacing nerves with excitement. And I talk about physiology and biochemistry. And you may or may not know that the physiology of nerves and the physiology of excitement and the biochemistry of nerves and the biochemistry of excitement are basically the same. So you can choose to be excited, and your heart rate will increase and your palms will sweat. So this is just an image that I've created myself. I created it in PowerPoint slide. I imported the X and the tick, and I put in my own arrows. So you can do this kind of stuff yourself if you need to create a model that you cannot create in your SmartArt. All right. So these are just some photos. Let's talk about not doing death by PowerPoint. Let's talk about good active listening. And what do I mean by good active listening, and how do you engage people? Stripping down your PowerPoint slides, no logos, no websites. Walking to different parts in the platform so people's eyes keep moving left to right. These images enable me to talk for about 5 to 10 minutes on what do I mean by good active listening. What do I mean by death by PowerPoint? Shooting the audience to death, one bullet at a time, doing bullet points, too much noise, reading off your PowerPoint slides. You can see how I've got 5 minutes, 6 minutes worth of content. Not telling stories. I can reiterate the importance of storytelling. Using models. So this is just a model I downloaded from Deposit Photos, and I put my own text in. So whatever your 4-step model is, if it's sequential. So this is not SmartArt. This is another image that I've downloaded, that I've purchased off Deposit Photos, and you can then put your own words in. Fear of public speaking. Let's get started. I talk a lot about the fear of public speaking. A simple image of a microphone. Would you like to say a few words, Stephen, Sarah? Chris, would you like to say a few words? Tracy, it's over to you. That's enough to put the fear into many people. So let me talk to you about how to overcome the fear of public speaking. That's all I need. I'm now got 5 to 10 minutes worth of content. Let's talk about authenticity, being genuine, being honest. Can you guarantee that every time you get up that you will be authentic? Once again, this is an image I've created. I've put some words and I've grabbed a couple of images. Keeping it simple. One person's going around the garden path, getting lost in the maze. The gold person's to the point. Be on, be brief, be seated. Less is often more. Keep it simple. These images I use in my workshop, my one-day workshops, about structure, about the importance of simplicity in your message. Let's talk about the magic of the B key and the W key. So remember I said one of the mistakes is people leaving their slides up while they talk about something else. Now, this is a webinar. If I bring my slides down, you have nothing except my voice. But I'm going to show you. So I'm going to go back. Let's say I'm talking about the keep it simple principle. And one of the best ways to keep it simple is to tell stories. So now I'm going to talk to you about storytelling, but see how the image doesn't relate to storytelling. So all you need to do is go to your laptop, your PC, and hit B, or just toggle forward, B for black or W for white. So I'm going to go back. Let me do this for you right now. So I've now hit the B key. I'm still talking. You're now looking at me. And as I move on to storytelling, that slide about keep it simple is not up there. Now I want to go back to the slide. I just hit B again. One of the mistakes is people leave their PowerPoint slides up from start to finish. They've finished their presentation. They're now having Q&A and there's still a slide up there showing keep it simple. So I'm going to go into Q&A now. Are there any questions at this stage? Black the slide. Any questions? Feel free to type the questions in. And of course, by default, the audience is now no longer looking up at the screen. They're now looking at you because you're talking. The W key does the same thing, except it does a white screen. Now, the thing with the white screen is if the data projector is on a desk, when you stand in front, you will still do shadow puppets. Hit the W key again and the screen comes back. Hit the black key, the B, you can now walk in front of your data projector. You can now stand in the middle of the room. There's no shadows. People are looking at you. So there we go. That is the power of the B for black and the W for white key. The white key is good when the data projector's in the roof and you've got a nice clean white screen, and data projecting white light is better than data projecting black light. Please understand B and W, don't put your laptop or the data projector to sleep. They're just data projecting black light or white light. So Madge has asked about questions, when to ask questions. My philosophy is it depends on the length of time. If you've got a 20-minute presentation and you ask for questions as you go, someone can hijack your agenda and ask you a question within the first 5 minutes and take you down the garden path and you don't cover your content. So with a 20-minute presentation, I will say, okay, I'm going to speak for 15 minutes and I'm going to leave 5 minutes for questions. Can you please leave your questions to the end? If I'm speaking for, say, 2 hours, 4 hours, or a one-day workshop, definitely questions as you go. Thanks for that question. Finally, flip charts with PowerPoint. Flip charts are really good. When you use flip charts, this is how you stand. So by standing on this and drawing, I can still see you, and then I just turn my head and I draw and I still see you. So I'm not standing in front with my back to you. I'm able to straddle the legs of the flip chart. This is obviously for a right-hander. A left-hander would be on the other side. Now, what I like to do, and this can be the same for a whiteboard as well, but I like flip charts because I can then put the flip charts around the room on the wall with blue tack. I like 2 flip charts. So just imagine, this is what I often do with my presentation. So I have my data projector in the middle. So this is PowerPoint. On one side, I will have the positive stuff, maybe the pre-written, which I'm going to reveal to you, the pre-prepared, my agenda for the day, some of those models that I think are better written. And on this side, we can have what we call the parking lot, the difficult questions, maybe the negative stuff. So what I want to do is I want to keep the center of the room clean. No negative stuff here. The left side of the room, this is the positive and the prepared, and over here more of the contentious stuff. Once again, if I black the slide, and I can't black the slide now because of the drawing, so I'm going to remove the drawings. Once again, if I black the slide, I can now walk to the left and reveal a flip chart. Bring the slide back, show you some data projectors. Someone asked a difficult question that I'm going to park because I'm going to cover that later. And Marja, I do a webinar on how to respond to questions effectively as a speaker and presenter. If you send me an email, I can send you the recording of that. And when I black the slide, we can move over, park that one there, and now I can get back on my content. So in summary, why use PowerPoint? It helps the visual learners. It increases retention rate. Common mistakes, I've covered those. Don't do death by PowerPoint, bullet points, reading from your notes, not blacking your slides. SmartArt's the one way of eliminating bullet points. Images and graphics and pictures is another way of eliminating death by PowerPoint. Use a flip chart with your PowerPoint. It's very effective. Workshops, I'm everywhere. Katanning, Bunbury, Bendigo, Broome, Melbourne coming up, Brisbane, Thursday, Friday this week, on a plane tomorrow morning to Brisbane. Next webinar, how to use your voice to speak and sound like a professional speaker. Let's say you're like me and you do not have a radio quality voice. As John Laws used to say, welcome to the world, or hello Australia. I do not have that voice. What can you do to be more effective in your voice? So